Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round 7 of the ANZCAR 131 Rock Thunder Series, coming to us live tonight from Iowa Speedway, the fastest short track in the world. They call it 7/8 of a mile, so just under a mile, and one of the highest average speeds of any track of that particular size. Looking forward to got a bit of a smaller field out here tonight, so looking forward to hopefully a fairly clean race. But here with me to call all the action for the first time on Performance E Streaming is Double D himself, Dave Douglas. How you going, Dave?
Hey, good, Edward. G'day, everyone. Looking forward to the race. Sun's out, track's going to be hot. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, the drivers just moved off into qualifying, actually, and the track is sort of warm. We've got a 21-degree ambient temperature, and we're looking at 31 degrees on the track at the moment. Expect that to probably rise maybe a little way, although we are starting to get a little bit later in the afternoon sim time, so perhaps it may even start cooling off a little bit later on in the race anyway. But what we might do, just while we're running through qualifying, we've got a few drivers out there at the moment. We might just have a quick look at the championship points as they stand at the moment, and the first thing that you're going to notice looking at that top 10 is that Jason Martin is way out in front. He's had an incredible season in this particular series, which contrasts fairly well to his Cup form. He hasn't actually won a race in the Cup as yet, but he's won 4 out of the 6 races that we've had here. And one thing that you'll notice about all of Jason's wins so far in this series is they've all been at the 1.5 mile tracks. And of course, this is 7/8 in a mile. It's a lot smaller. And the last time we were actually at a short track, it was won by Braden Boulos, who doesn't look like he's in the field tonight. So it's a little bit difficult probably to pick a form guide for this one, despite Jason's dominance so far.
Yeah, definitely, I can understand that. But further down the points, so it's a nice fight for second, third, and fourth with Danson, Skurlock, and Jones all loading up there in 246, 234, and 220.
Yeah, I mean, behind Jason, there's quite a good battle, and it's often been the case in ANZCAR as a whole that behind Jason there's quite a good battle going on. But yeah, Jason Martin right out the front, 270 points, and then as you mentioned, Danson, Skurlock, Jones for 246, 234, and 220, and then it's quite tight behind that as well. We've got Josh Mickelmore, Stephen Williams on 188, 187, and then we're going back to Mirko Doutnak, Matthew Raymond, Matthew Clute, and Joseph Tavora, who's not actually in the field tonight either. So whether he keeps his spot in the top 10, that also remains to be seen.
That's it, mate. Well, I guess we'll see how tonight pans out for those guys and see if they can make some gains or not.
Yeah, certainly can. So we're just having a look at Michael Skurlock at the moment. He's just out there. He's just doing his first lap in qualifying. I think I actually caught a bit of a glimpse of him getting a scrape on the wall there. So that may have invalidated this lap for him. And it looks like he is indeed pulling down to the apron. He's going to look to start that run again, potentially. Because, of course, when you tap the wall in iRacing, it gives you an incident. And if you have an incident, your lap doesn't count in qualifying.
That's it. So we'll... I think he'll have one chance to make a lap count this time around. We'll see how he goes this time.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Michael Skurlock. Mirko Doutnak is actually holding the top spot at the moment with a 23.004, right ahead of Kai Sloggett, who's 23.027. So very, very tight at the top, as you would expect with a short track. And just watching Skurlock there, he's actually gone into the wall again, but that's on the on his warm-up lap there. So I don't think that's actually going to affect him too much. He just wanted to probably take the widest line he possibly could to get a good run through 3 and 4. So just coming out onto the back straight now, hammer down hard against that firewall, and he's going to drop into 3 and 4, holding a very tight low line, just putting a couple of wheels on the apron, actually, those 2 inside wheels, and he's going to come across the line. We'll see where this puts him, and that's put him into P3, so not too far off the top spot at all, but most of the what you'd probably say was the more fancied runners, the guys that you'd expect to get up there for pole, yet to run.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely tight at the top there, looking at 1st to 4th. All within 10th there, and Matt Hunter's done a good job to get to 4th.
Yeah, Matt Hunter's just popped up a lap there, and he's actually just sitting one spot ahead of Corey Lane, who I think is actually his debut in this series tonight. You keep an eye on Corey out there in the 999 as well, sitting P5 at the moment. I won't suggest for a moment that that order is going to stay exactly how it is at the moment. We've still got quite a few guys to run, but at the very least, he's a good few tenths ahead of the guys sort of rounding up the back of the field at the moment. All Right, looks as though Riley Curtis has had a bit of a shocker of a lap as well, actually. He's there on the 38.965, so he's just slotted into 8th position. And just waiting on to see if we're going to get too many more runners. I think a lot of guys are just going to be sitting in the pits at the moment, hoping that the track may cool down a little bit. Definitely a little bit of advantage to be gained by that.
Not sure what's happening to Ryo there. Obviously had a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, and I'd say he's had some sort of issue there because, being about 15 seconds off the pace, he's certainly capable of better speed than that. So obviously something's gone amiss for him. But there's absolutely nobody on the track at the moment as far as I can see. So it could be.
Sorry, but just while you're talking there, Stephen Williams jumped to the top.
Oh, yeah, Stephen Williams has gone up top with a 22.858. So that's a really good lap for Stephen. And that's actually a couple of tenths quicker than anybody else. So he's done quite well.
Yeah, he's found some good pace in that one.
All right, so keeping a lookout at the guys who were fast during practice, we've got Crowder, Mickelmore, Jones, Jason Martin, Matt Danson, all those guys still yet to run. So not sure. I'd imagine we're going to see Jason Martin go out and pop up a lap. He usually tries to go for those pole position points. Very, very good at qualifying as well. Ryan Jones, quite good. He says he's a little bit of a short track specialist as well. So perhaps we're going to see a little bit out of Ryan Jones tonight, maybe going for that pole position. I'm fairly sure he actually took pole position in the Super Late Model race that we had just recently, I believe. He was very quick there.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he actually also won the truck race here at Iowa a couple of weeks back with a good run in the truck. So,
all right. So we got Ryan Jones actually. Just speaking about Ryan in that number 11 race on Oz Chevy Camaro, and he's just rolled out of pit lane. He's coming around to start the first lap of his qualifying. Coming around now, just dropping into turn 1 and 2, holding a much higher line than we saw from Skurlock when we followed him a little bit earlier on, and comes out onto the back straight quite well, and drops down into turn 3 and 4, taking it a lot lower than he did previously. And looks like he just had to back out of the throttle as well there. I just saw a pop of exhaust flame come out of that car. But he's gone straight to the top, 22.789. And given his form here in the trucks, it's a great lap, but probably to be expected, you'd say.
Yeah, definitely. It was a very good lap. He's just coming to out of 3 and 4 to complete his second lap. Whether it's going to be faster or not, we will see as he comes to the line now. And it was obviously slower.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's improved there, but he's done enough, hasn't he? He's on pole, and he's comfortably on pole, you'd say, having a look at that. The gaps sort of down the rest of the field. He's got almost a sort of over half a tenth. But Ashton Crowder's actually just popped up with a 22.658 as well, popped himself to the top of the list. And I think now that we're starting to see the heavy hitters come out, we've got Jason Martin out there. He's on his second lap and hasn't got a time registered, so he must have touched the wall or something like that. So he's only going to have this one lap to get the job done in the number 21 Ford Mustang. And as he comes around turn 4 and crosses the line, what's this going to do for Jason? You'd expect him to get right up there, and he goes P2, 22.742. He'll move to outside pole provisionally as things sit right now.
That'll be a good battle. What do we got? A minute left in qualifying. I'm not sure who else is still to run, but
we got Mickelmore out on track at the moment. He's just completed his lap to go onto the second row as well, so good lap from him.
Yeah, I see him there. It's going to be a good battle up front all night, I reckon.
Yeah, it certainly should be. We've also got Norman Clark out on track in the number 13. He's actually just started his first flying lap. He's only got a few seconds to get this done, actually. It's going down to 30 seconds left to qualify. That will get him across the line, but it won't get him a second lap. So he's just going to drop in here. He's just taking a fairly mid-line through turn 3 and 4. A little bit different to what we've seen from some of the faster guys. So we'll see where this puts him. He wasn't too bad in practice, but that's not a great qualifying lap. And that's only put Norman at P16. So qualifying just wrapping up at the moment. I don't think we're going to see too many more runners out there. So we might just run through the grid as things stand at the moment. Yes, qualifying is officially done. So we're going to run through the grid right now. Ashton Crowder, as mentioned, taking that pole position with almost a tenth over Jason Martin, who's going to start next to him outside row 1. Then we've got Ryan Jones and Josh Micklemore on row 2. Row 3, Stephen Williams, Matt Danson. Row 4, Joshua Carroll-Walden and Matthew Clute. Row 5, Mirko Dortnack and Kai Sloggett. Row 6, Michael Skurlock and Matt Hunter. Corey Lane, the debutant, he's there on row 7 next to Raymond Yeager. Then we've got Michael Latter and Norman Clark, who we're just watching, on row 8. Row 9, Tristan Koch and Riley Curtis. And then we've got Robert Mason, Matthew Raymond, Ricky Cornwall and Brian Richmond, rounding out our field of 22 cars tonight.
Yep, as they're all starting the grid now, I'm actually getting a bit excited. First race in the Combox. I can't guarantee I won't get too excited and talk over you, Edward.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's going to be an exciting race to call as well. With the drivers that we've actually got in here and the closeness of the qualifying times, and I think that we're probably going to see a reasonably clean race as well, at least I hope we do. I think we're probably going to see some longer green flag runs as well. So guys like Martin and guys like Danson, who are very, very good on their tyres, you'd expect to possibly challenge Crowder. I mean, Crowder's he's a pro-level driver. He races in the Peak Antifreeze series, the very top worldwide series that iRacing runs for the NASCAR. So he's a very, very accomplished driver. However, in his few races in this series, he's managed to get involved in a few incidents and accidents and so on, and it's tended to be the more experienced guys, especially Jason, that have come through to actually take those victories. So with Crowder on pole, if he doesn't make any mistakes, maybe those guys can challenge him on a longer run. Maybe they can't. Maybe we're going to get a dark horse come through, but we're going to find out soon when these guys get rolling.
Yeah, exactly right, Edward. I can agree with everything you've mentioned there. He is carrying a bit of form also from the Super Late models that the ANZCAR ran on Monday night actually, where he won the night there as well. Yeah,
he did have a good run, didn't he? I know that there was a fair bit of action in that particular event. There was it's typical short track racing, and we're talking real short track racing in the super late models. Lots of body contact and those types of bits and pieces. Of course, Jason Martin and Braden Boulos coming together right near the end of that one, and Ashton Crowder taking the victory. So he is on a little bit of a run of form. So we'll see what he's able to pull out tonight. They are on their pace lap right now, and rolling around, ready to take the green flag. Okay, so as the drivers roll around, it's going to be Ashton Crowder off the pole. So as soon as the pace car drops down, you're going to see that car drop down in a minute. The field will be under Ashton's control. He can go whenever he wants from that point onwards, and no one is allowed to reach the start-finish line before he does. So we'll see how he actually plays it. Looks actually as though we're going to get 2 pace laps here, so they're going to run around one more time. So that's just going to give the drivers a little bit more of a chance to get everything set up the way they want it, potentially set up how they want their first pit stop to go, what they're expecting in terms of what they want to do with the fuel and the tyres. There may be a few sort of varying strategies in the field tonight as well. We know that some of the Ballistic Racing Team guys can be fairly brave on their strategy. They're starting a little bit towards the rear, so it might play to their hands to try and stay out, as you see them do, and sometimes they gamble on 2 tyres, and they're fairly adventurous with their strategies as well. So if they get the opportunity, expect them to make a play to try and get to the front as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially this time of day, because it's just past 5 o'clock local time. Sun's out. The tyres are going to be worth everything you get here.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's going to be too many guys skipping pit stops, but everyone's just sort of jostling up there for position now, getting themselves set. A few guys hanging a bit further back than I normally expect, but the pace car is about to drop off. They want every inch they can get now. We're going to see Ashton Crowder. He goes. Jason Martin does his best to go with him, and it looks to me as though Matt Danson got an excellent start there from back in the pack, and I can almost guarantee that Ashton Crowder let Matt Danson know over the radio exactly when he was going to go, because Matt's got an excellent jump there. 3 wide on the outside of Micklemore. Jason Martin in the wall already. That's cost him a lot of speed, and Danson's got down his inside. He's threading the needle between Williams and Martin. Micklemore having a look to the outside of Ryan Jones. He's got a slight bit of overlap there, just trying to push push his way through, and Ashton Crowder is quite happy, I think, to be looking in his mirror and seeing all these guys fighting one another. Micklemore's got a really good run off turn 2, and he's coming down on the inside of Ryan Jones right now. Is that going to be the preferred line for overtaking tonight? I'm not sure. It looks as though he's sort of making it work, but Jones is carrying some really good speed off the turn, and Danson getting it done around the outside as well. He's moved all the way up from P6 on the grid to P3 as they cross the line. So Jones just having a little bit of a nibble at Crowder there. Danson's really sort of running that middle line. It looks as though the middle to high line might actually be the way to get overtaking moves done tonight.
Yeah, I think that low line's going to be the way to go at the start of the run, definitely on the first 2 laps. That's probably about it, though. Then you'll start to move at the track and just try and carry that momentum on the high line, I think.
Yeah, so just taking a quick look at Jason Martin as well. He got in the wall right near the start and seemed to do it all on his own. There didn't look to be anything else involved in that. I'm just taking a look at him, and he does indeed have have a bit of a crinkle on that right front guard. So he's carrying a little bit of aero damage already, and that's not going to help his tyre wear. It's not going to help his speed. It's not going to help his handling or anything else. So that's certainly something that he wouldn't have wanted to take place quite so early. But Ryan Jones putting up a really good fight at the moment. He's got Matt Danson and he's got Josh Micklemore just swarming all over him. Matt Danson looks like he's almost ready to lay the bumpering, in fact. And looks as though Jones just probably settling for that lower line. He's more comfortable down there, while these other drivers seem to be more happy to just sit up high and possibly save the tyres. And if there's one thing that perhaps Ryan Jones, being quite new to the series, hasn't necessarily mastered as well as the Dansons and the Martins of the world, is that tyre saving side of it. But what he's doing at the moment, if you actually have a look, he's mimicking the lines taken by Ashton Crowder. Now, that's something significant, because Ashton's the guy to beat at the moment. So if you're copying him, you're doing okay. But Danson's actually got his nose in there. He's turned Jones sideways. Jones catches it, and Danson's actually got that position around the outside. A lot of guys had to check up there. It's absolute. Josh Carroll Walden actually made a big couple of positions out of that. He's ahead of Jason Martin now too. Ryan Jones, excellent job to actually catch that. But I think that if he manages to get back up there to Danson, there may be a little bit of return serve.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, right. So, go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, mate. We saw the Mitch Motorsports cars, the 31 and the 21 made contact, actually, while Jones was having a half spin-off from Danson. So Micklemore's actually got a bit of rear damage at the moment. And I did notice earlier while you were talking, Edward, that Stephen Williams actually got a bump from someone earlier in the race and went back a few positions also.
Right, okay, so there's a little bit of it going up and down the field, and given the fact that this is technically a short track, it's probably not that surprising. But you say Josh Micklemore's got a bit of damage on the back. I'd say his rear end is properly stoved in, from what I can see. I imagine that's probably going to be affecting his handling quite a bit. And just going back to what you're saying about Stephen Williams looking a little bit further back in the pack, he is carrying some significant rear end damage on that Camry as well, and he's actually coming under a little bit of threat right now from Matt Hunter, and it looks as though the newcomer Corey Lane also giving him a little bit of trouble as well. So I wonder if that damage is just affecting the rear end grip of those cars.
Yeah, it'll definitely have some sort of effect on those vehicles, but I guess for now they just got to ride it out until they can get under probably a yellow and get them repaired as best they can.
Yeah, certainly, and I do wonder if Jones is able to get back to Danson. It must be said that Danson isn't streaking away. He's just kind of sitting around there. Jones is keeping pace with him. All those guys behind, they're not being dropped. It's only Crowder that's out the front disappearing. And a lot of that gap has actually been assisted by the fact that those other guys got all mixed up with one another and so on, as we see Jason Martin back there trying to put a move around the outside of Joshua Carroll Walden. It looks as though he's going to be able to get that done. I'm not sure how keen I'd be to run close to the wall with what's happened already, but he's got that move done. He's moving up onto the back of Kai Sloggett now. Kai's had a really rough few weeks actually in terms of results, and it's good to see him running up there in the top 5 tonight as well.
Yeah, I've just noticed that Ricky Cornwell's just dropped a lap also by the looks of it as well. Yeah, Crowder's definitely pushing away from the field with, what's he got, 2.5 second gap at the moment, so he's going on with it.
Yeah, certainly is. He's, like you say, 2.2 seconds up the road. And Matt Danson coming under increasing pressure right now from both Ryan Jones and Josh Mickelmore as Jason Martin just takes a look down inside Kai Sloggett. Kai fighting for that one place on the outside. He wants to stay in the top 5 if he possibly can. And that battle's going to run and run for a little while now anyway. But Mickelmore is paying the back end of Ryan Jones some very, very close attention. And I think Ryan, I wonder if when he gets back up to Danson, and I think he's got the speed to get back up to Danson, I wonder if he's going to play nice, or I wonder if he's just going to give him a little bit of a shunt just to say thanks for earlier on.
Yeah, look, it is stock car racing after all, so they're not afraid to use the bumpers when they can.
No, certainly not. And if I can put myself in the 11, I know I'd be potentially having a look to have a little bit of a return serve on that one. But Jason Martin still sitting in there behind at the moment. Behind Kai Sloggett, Josh Carroll-Walden still sitting in there, but it's really this battle for second that's the interesting one on track at the moment, because Danson's still holding that in there, and Danson will fancy his chances the longer this green flag run goes on, because he's very good on his tyres. He's usually got excellent tyre life, and I think that he's going to be more than happy to see this stint run and run, whereas some of the other guys, I think, we're 17 laps in right now, and I think that some of the guys are going to be feeling their tyres going away a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are a couple that would be fairly interested in getting a caution flag about this point.
Yeah, no, definitely. At least, what do we got? Second, third, fourth, and fifth seem to be running the lower line. The only one that's running the upper line at the moment is Jason Martin. I know Danson ran it 2 laps ago, and Ryan Jones had a little bit of a look, but just couldn't get the drive off full.
Yeah, we've got actually Jason Martin down low and sort of running side by side with Kai Sloggett. Kai doing a very good job there just to hold his line, give Jason the space he needs on the inside and nothing more. And the way he's been coming off the turns has actually made it so Jason has been unable to get past him. So Kai's doing a really good job there holding Jason back, not really giving him any quarter, and why should he? They're racing after all. And of course, Josh Mickelmore is getting stuck in there now behind Ryan Jones. And you almost get the feeling that what we were saying earlier on just about Ryan's tyre life, it appears that perhaps Josh Mickelmore's been a little bit nicer on his tyres. You say Matt Danson certainly has been if you look at the gap that he's managed to pull out, and I'd imagine that we're going to see Josh Mickelmore having some fairly serious goes at taking that third place away from Jones sooner rather than later if you look at the speed of those two cars.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're actually running that low on the track through 3 and 4 as Jason moves down the inside of Kai Sloggett. We'll see if he can get the drive off 2 here. Sloggett will have the momentum on the outside.
Well, that's exactly what Sloggett's been doing for a number of laps now, is just sort of holding on around the outside, using that momentum to keep that car, keep the speed up. And of course, once he gets to the exit of the turn, he's carrying a higher speed. He's got less accelerating to do than Jason Martin does. And he's actually doing an excellent job at the moment. But they're all sort of pulling up now behind Ryan Jones. They're all pulling up behind Ryan Jones. I think Ryan is possibly starting to struggle with those tyres a little bit because he's starting to be a little bit of a cork in a bottle for these guys. And you did mention, Dave, that he was running quite low. But I think that if you look up the front, you see Crowder and Danson are both using that low line as well. So it appears that almost when you're running side by side, the high line's the place to be, as we see Jones and Mickelmore side by side as we speak. It appears that the high line's really the place to be when you're running side by side with someone, but potentially the best line for outright speed might be down the bottom.
Yeah, you could be onto something there. I know that Josh is just obviously starting to look around the outside now through 3 and 4, but still hasn't been able to make it work. So they're definitely earning their money out there.
Yeah, certainly are. And Kai Sloggett's still doing the same thing to Jason Martin again. Jason's just not been able to get that move done. And now we've got some lap traffic coming into play as well. I think Mickelmore's going to try and use the 43 as a pick and use him to, in fact, that's exactly what he does. Uses him to block off Ryan Jones and hold him back. And I think that, 43 is giving him some space. And that 43, Tristan Koch. And this may actually facilitate a couple of passing moves, given that the driver's here. And Sloggett's moved up a bit too early into the side of Koch. And he's regained that. He's lost that position to Jason Martin. So that's a real shame because he was doing such a good job there. But unfortunately, the 43 can't make himself invisible. And it looks as though that Sloggett may have thought he'd actually cleared him and hadn't done so. And now he's under pressure from his teammate, Matthew Clute.
Yeah, it looks like he also got the outside wall too when he got hooked by the 43 there. So he's obviously carrying a bit of damage now on that right front.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him because he was having a really strong performance battling. And Jason in the wall again. Jason Martin, as he's tried to go around the outside of Ryan Jones, has gone straight into the wall again and has put yet more damage on the outside of that number 21. And that's going to help Ryan. It looks as though Ryan, as we mentioned a couple of times, his tyres are starting to go away a little bit. He's fallen down to 4th. But that's going to help him in his battle with Jason Martin because Jason's carrying that damage now. And it looks as though Jason going for that move on the outside. So perhaps that tyre we're really getting the best of Jones.
Yeah, it looks like Jones might even just put the white flag up there on the front straight there. But being a short track, the damage is not going to affect the aero so much. But it does affect the tyre life here. So.
Yeah, it certainly does. And for anybody who's wondering why that is, you've got to remember that the aero on these cars, as is the aero with most race cars, is designed to give the cars downforce and the grip that they need to get around the turns and all the other things that they do. And as soon as you reduce that grip, as soon as you have some damage there that actually reduces that grip, that means to get the same result, the tyres have to do more work. And of course, when the tyres are doing more work, they overheat. When they overheat, they get used up and they wear out and everything else. So that's why you'll generally find that even if a bit of aero damage doesn't look like much and it doesn't affect their pace too much in the first few laps, you're going to see their pace drop away more significantly than perhaps somebody who's got a perfectly clean bodywork.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're 30 laps in on a green flag run here, which is great to see. Ashton's just holding about a 4-second gap out the front over Danson, followed by Josh with his teammate Jason Martin not too far behind him.
Yeah, it's sort of really holding station at the front. There's some big gaps in between the top 3. And then we've got Jason Martin, who's starting to close up actually on the back of his teammate Josh Mickelmore. So there could be a bit of a fight on there. I don't think those guys are going to fight each other too hard. I think it's perfectly reasonable for Jason to possibly say to Josh, look, I've got a bit of pace at this stage of the race, if he feels he does, because he's certainly closed right up very quickly on the back of Josh. And I do wonder how much that rear end damage on the back of Mickelmore's car is actually affecting the handling of that 31, because it's not like him to be caught so quickly by Jason Martin with damage.
No, you're right. And while you're talking there, Raymond Jaeger's actually starting to have a bit of a nibble at Mirko Dutenat back further in the field.
Yeah, of course, we've kind of, with everything that's been going on up front, we've kind of ignored some of the guys a little bit further back, haven't we? But Raymond Jaeger, yeah, really closing up on the back of Mirko Dutenat now. And there's quite a few guys that are locked in a fairly tight battle. We've got Josh Carroll-Walden back there. We've got Stephen Williams back there as well. And they're all just kind of running a bit line astern, but fairly closely. Matt Hunter in there. Michael Skurlock a little bit further back, but we normally see him as well in 13th at the moment. And then if we go back a little bit further, we've got the 999 at Corey Lane sitting there in front of Norman Clark and just grabbing a piece of the wall and probably giving away that 14th position to Norman. And that is indeed what happens. But we've got Riley Curtis running side by side with the number 47 of Brian Richmond as well. And we've actually just got Matthew Raymond behind, just keeping a watching brief in there behind Raymond as well. He's probably going to be looking at perhaps putting a move on the team boss at some point soon.
Yeah, as we got contact, Curtis.
Oh, looks like Riley and Richmond get together. Has Riley managed to save it though?
He does.
He looks like he has. We're going to stay green. So what's that? The third incident we've seen now that could have brought out the caution, but they've actually done a fantastic job saving it. There might be a bit more grip out there than we thought.
Yeah, no, it's all for Riley to do again here. He's going to have to make that pass again on his teammate first, and then on the 47 on Richmond.
Yeah, certainly will. So we'll just take our attention back to the front, or front-ish, for a little while, because battle for third place is on between the teammates Josh Mickelmore and Jason Martin. Those two running side by side at the moment. Doesn't look as though Josh necessarily wants to give any room at all to Jason Martin. He's kind of holding that what's turned out to be quite a defensive outside line. We're seeing drivers run to try and avoid being overtaken. That's exactly the line that Josh Mickelmore's running at the moment. They're not going to want to do this for too long, because of course when you're running side by side with somebody else, the track that you're able to use effectively becomes narrower, and you're turning a tighter radius and everything else, and that's going to take tyre life out of your tyres as well, as Josh just scrapes the wall as well. So I'd imagine, being teammates, these two are not going to want to do this for too long, because they run the risk of bringing Ryan Jones right back into the battle, and at the moment they've got it all to themselves.
Yeah, that's right, and it's only going to wear the tyres out more, as you're saying. But Josh is running the highest I've seen anyone so far, through 3 and 4 there, and obviously down the front straight he touched the wall, so he is trying to find some speed, but obviously not finding it there as Jason makes the pass.
Yeah, it looks as though they've sorted themselves out now, doesn't it? And they're going to go back to running line astern and working together. They may have had a little bit of communication just over the fact that Ryan Jones was closing that gap up and they needed to sort themselves out. So they've done that now. And you'd imagine Jason, who was showing fairly superior pace to Josh Mickelmore at that stage, may now start to have a bit of a think about trying to push on and catch the front two. But of course, as we mentioned, he is carrying that damage, number one. And number two, the guys out the front are actually lapping quite quickly.
Yeah, no, so what's Ashton's worked his gap out nearly to 5 seconds, so it's 4.8 seconds ahead now. Then another 7 seconds back to Jason Martin from Matt Danson.
Yeah, it's really, really spread out at the front now, isn't it? And I think that that little bit of push and shove that they had have really allowed those front two to sort of get away and everything else. And it's funnily enough, the big beneficiary from it, Matt Danson, was the one who started the whole thing when he got into the back of Ryan Jones. So he sort of cleared out there on the front and left the victims in his wake. But Ryan Jones now starting to come under a fair bit of pressure from Matthew Clute. So I'd say what we said before was fairly accurate, and that is that Ryan's not got the best tyre life in that number 11 because he's just starting to fall backwards now a little bit as well. We did mention that he was starting to close on the back of Mickelmore and Martin. But of course, then we've got Clute up behind, who's closing on all of them, and looks more than fixed to make a move.
So what are we working? Lap 43 of 100 now, still green. Obviously, it's only 100 laps. It's not a long race, but they will have to stop at some point during this race if they don't get a caution.
Yeah, they certainly will, and even so, not taking into account the fuel side of things, they're not going to still be lapping at competitive pace after 100 laps on a set of tyres either. So somebody could almost pit, get tyres, and come back round and win the race. So it's not beneficial for them to stay out forever. But I imagine if these things are going to run green, we're going to find most of these guys looking to drop to the lane on probably around about lap 50, break the race in half. Just as we're watching Jones and Clute come past the lap 43 of Tristan Koch once again, Koch is actually 5 laps down now, so I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's actually made a visit to the lane himself, but still doesn't appear to be carrying an awful lot of speed in that 43, so maybe that little bit of contact with Riley Curtis has actually given more damage to him than we're first aware.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I'm interested to see who blinks first to take a pit stop here, because the undercut, obviously, as we're saying, is huge. If you time it right, when it all comes out, if you stay green, if it all comes out in the wash, you could be in the lead of the race.
All right, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Matt, if I was Matt Danson right now, I'm not under a lot of pressure from behind, so why not roll it down pit road? Why not roll it down pit road and see how you go about undercutting Ashton Crowder? It might work out brilliantly for you. So they're lapping at around about the same pace at the moment. The gap's sort of hovering around about the 5.6 second mark. Crowder dominating it at the minute. But as we were mentioning earlier on, we've got Ryan Jones still under a lot of pressure from Clute. Clute getting a really good run down the inside, really driving it in hard to turn 3. Jones trying to hold on around the outside, but they just made it back there. And it looks as though Jones got up into the wall as well. But beneficiary from that, we've got the 43 we just mentioned, Tristan Koch, 5 laps down, but he's come out on what looks to be new tyres, and he's overtaken the pair of them.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Matty tried a bit of an old speedway move, bit of a slide job down into 3 there, and just ran right up the track. And they must have made contact. If they didn't, it was close.
Yeah, and speaking of close, we've actually got Ashton Crowder pushing his way through some lap traffic at the moment. He looked like he got fairly close with the 57 of Latter or Cornwall. I couldn't really make out which one of those cars it was, but he got very close with one of them. And he's also got very close to the back of the 47, Brian Richmond. So he's getting down underneath him at the moment as well. His next target's going to be Riley Curtis.
Yeah, I think the guys this far back there starting to get lapped now have probably missed the opportunity to take that early stop. Because once you go down a lap, it's really hard to get back going again, especially as you can see Riley actually go to the pit lane now.
All right, so we've got
Green flag
Curtis,
stop.
running into the pit lane. So he's obviously trying something a little bit strategic. He's got as far as lap 49, so you're not going to expect this to be a massive undercut. He's carrying a little bit of damage there as well, so he may be suffering in terms of the tyre wear, but we'll just stay with Riley and just see what kind of pit stop he's able to pull out. Looks like he hit his marks almost perfectly there. Right-hand side of the car goes up. They're going to be changing those tyres. He's probably going to go for the left sides as well. Don't be surprised to see that left side pop up. There it goes. And we've got a few more cars, Mirko rolling down the pit lane as well. And Riley's out. That looked like a pretty tidy pit stop. We'll actually just, I'll keep a watch just to see what type of lap time he's able to do first time out of the pits, because we may see that this now triggers everyone else to come running down the pit lane.
Yeah, it will be interesting to keep an eye on that, actually. As you can see, Mirko's also in the pits now, and he's actually won a race this season. Where was it? Auto Club on a strategy. So interesting to see how that works for him this time around.
And we've got Jones in the pits as well, so just keeping an eye. I'm just watching Riley Curtis at the moment just to see what kind of lap time he puts down. But we've also got Ryan Jones that you may want to actually just follow as he goes in to take his pit stop. He's probably the first of the leaders to actually blink in that regard, and not really that surprising just given the kind of pace disadvantage he was suffering on those older tyres. So he's going in there for the undercut. He might make some space. And Riley Curtis has done a 23.3 first time out of the pits, which is around about 0.7 of a second faster than what Crowder and Danson are running, especially Crowder, who was 0.2 of a second faster than Danson on that last lap.
Yeah, I think I'll find that Jason Martin's actually come to the lane also too now. I'm just trying to find the timing showing that he definitely has.
Yeah, he's actually in the box. He's in the box right now. As we speak. So he dropped to 5th place and he's just on pit road getting that service done, and probably not a bad move for Jason either, just given the fact that he knows he can make tyres last. But I'm just having a look at the front end of Jason's car. Perhaps it's a bit of an illusion. Yeah, it was an illusion. I thought I saw a terrible amount of damage on his left front, but it must have just been me, because that is absolutely fine. But I imagine, given the fact that he's got that skill of making the tyres last as well, he can probably make an undercut work a lot better than some of the others. And crucially, he's actually come out ahead of Ryan Jones as well in all that.
Yeah, no, it's all starting to happen now, as we sort of thought halfway through the race. And
Crowder's in the lane.
Yeah, Crowder's in the box now. Most of the field have actually stopped now. We've got 7 cars that haven't. Be interesting to see how long they go before they come in.
Yeah, Danson and Mickelmore are still out there. Crowder's leaving the pits right now. And he had a massive margin, didn't he? So we're not expecting any positional changes at the front. Just watching Josh Mickelmore at this particular moment as well. He's got to be coming down the lane soon, unless he's going to try and commit to this longer running strategy. But unless we get a caution, that can't work for him. So he's just sticking out there at the moment. And Matt Danson still running out there in the number 30 as well. Not really showing any signs as yet, as he catches the back markers of wanting to duck into the pit. So it looks as though he's going to chance it and he's going to run long.
Yeah, for me, it has to happen soon. If you sort of miss that opportunity, you've just got to stick with running long then, and hopefully you get a good fast run home and see where you come out. But it's a small window when everyone else sort of pits. It's about a 10-lap window. If you don't go with them, you've really got to stick with something else, really.
And it's interesting that you say that, actually, because you've really got to. It's an important point to note, I think, that you've really got to commit one way or the other on these strategies. You can't do some half-hearted sort of this way, sort of that way strategy. It's either got to be you pit early or you hang out all the way and you pit late, because anything in between that you do is just going to be bad on both counts, and it's got no chance of being good.
Yeah, well, that's right. And stopping early works and stopping late can work also. So they both work, but stopping in between doesn't usually work.
No, definitely not. So we've got Matt Danson, Josh Mickelmore, Stephen Williams and Matt Hunter out on track at the moment, still on the lead lap. So I think it's a reasonable assumption that those guys have not pitted. I don't believe Brian Richmond's come to the lane as yet either, because he's the last car in front of the first car that we know is pit, which is Ashton Crowder. And Crowder, of course, on those new tyres is just about to go flying past him. A little bit of lap traffic to deal with as well, but he's going to go slicing in there down the inside of the 47, and there's going to be absolutely nothing that he can do about it.
Oh, contact. 47's in the fence on the outside into turn 3 there.
Oh, right, yeah, he's bounced off there, hasn't he?
Yeah. And stay green, though. They've sorted themselves out.
Yeah, they have. It looks like he got 90 degrees to the wall at that stage, right across the front of the 43, but no caution. I'll tell you what, if we'd got a caution at that stage, then Danson, Micklemore and Williams are looking like absolute geniuses because they're staying a lap ahead of everyone else, but it hasn't happened, and Crowder is just continuing the march on those fresh tyres.
Yeah, and they've been out there long enough that I would say they would have to come down pit lane to get some new tyres, so it would have been perfect for the guys out front. But not to be. We stay green. Brian Richmond's car is looking a little second hand at the moment.
Yeah, he'll keep on going though. He'll keep on going for sure. While there's any chance that car is still moving forwards, he'll keep on rolling with it. But we've got Ashton Crowder here just about to move on to the lead lap. He's just coming up behind our current leader, Matt Danson, and he's going to go flying past on those new tyres and become the last car on the lead lap, just like that.
So we've still got a top three staying out as for now anyway. As I said, how long? They probably will run it to the bottom of the tank, I would dare say, and then go for a short stint home and see what they can crawl back.
Yeah, well, Stephen Williams has taken a big risk, hasn't he? I mean, he qualified 5th, and now he's running this longer strategy. He's got a lot of damage on the back of that car, and he's fallen quite a way off the pace. So I guess this is a bit of a roll of the dice for Stephen Williams to see if he's able to make anything of this race, because he wasn't really appearing to find that he was able to climb back through the field at all. He wasn't really making much in the way of places. So if this turns out, if it works out for Stephen Williams, if we get a caution now, that's going to be very, very good for him, and it's going to prove to be the right call. But we've come so close to having caution flags so far. There's been a few little incidents between people, but it hasn't come yet. So it sort of remains to be seen what actually needs to happen in this race for us to get a caution.
Yeah, that's it. And another point to add to running along, sometimes because you're on limited grip, the cars sort of buzzing by you and whatnot, you can actually lose time by having to get out the throttle or let someone by because obviously they're on faster tyres and you're obviously not going to race them. But there's definitely time to be lost there.
Yeah, and Matt Danson actually on his older tyres has moved right up in front of Jason Martin there, and Jason's just switched to the inside and got by and regained his lap as well. So now Jason Martin also back on the lead lap, and we've got those guys out there at the moment, and they're going to come under fire soon. I mean, if they were to pit now and take those new tyres, they're going to fall so far off the pace it's not even funny. Martin and all those guys who pitted early, Crowder and Jones and so on, are going to make absolute mincemeat of them with this undercut that they've had. So those guys are really praying for a caution. It's nearly fallen for them so many times, it just hasn't fallen yet.
Yeah, 100%. We've got 30 laps to go, so a caution now would be interesting, especially for the guys out the front. So I guess that's what they're staying at for now, is try to get the caution. If that doesn't happen, then they're just going to have to run hard right to the checker flag.
Yeah, just having a look back now in the field as well at the 999 of Corey Lane. As we mentioned earlier on tonight, it is his first race in this series, Corey Lane, and he's just running in there battling his 3 wide at the moment with Raymond Yeager and Norman Clark as they just sort of sort themselves out. I think he's driven a very mature race so far. He's 2 laps down, but there are also some big names that are 2 laps down. Dortnack, Skurlock, guys like that are all sitting 2 laps down. That's pretty much where the guys who are running sort of midfield have wound up when they were pitting. But he was just running 3 wide there with those guys and gave them plenty of space and everything. I think he's had a really solid first part of this race, first half of this race anyway, for a guy who's come out here for his first time. Yeah,
definitely. And I'm not sure exactly where he started, but I know for that first sort of period of qualifying, he was up in that top 5 there, so he's doing quite well.
Yeah, he's doing well. Qualified 13th actually, and is currently running 17th. But of course, we have strategy things to shake themselves out. It's actually quite a big battle at the moment. We've got between Josh Micklemore, who's still out there on his original tyres, coming under a whole lot of pressure from Norman Clark. Going around the outside of him on those fresher tyres. We've got the 57 there of Latta, who's trying to make a move on him. We've got Yeager trying to go around his outside. Hang on. Latta's, this must bring the caution. This must bring the caution. Surely Latta's gone around. Lane just got into the back of him, and have we not got the caution?
It looks like Ladder just checked up there for a bit on the outside of Josh, and Lane's just obviously hasn't had the time to react and hooked him.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. I mean, Latter's sort of tried to go around the outside of Micklemore and has then sort of thought better of it and kind of checked up a little bit. And yeah, you're exactly right. Lane had nowhere to go, went straight into the back of him and turned him around. So one of those things, and once again, we get so close to getting that caution and we just don't get it.
We've actually got, I think it's Tristan. It is Tristan. She's smoking out there at the moment, I believe, is what I can see.
Yeah, 43, Tristan Koch. Yeah, he's smoking big time, isn't he? Just want to go back and see what's actually taken place there. I think he might have actually got involved in that. No, he's got into the wall and he actually got hit in the back by Skurlock, is what happened.
Really?
Got in the wall out of 2. And he's actually dropped down and looks as though he's bringing that car to the pit lane. And I actually think that that's a tyre issue. It's not an engine. He's leaving a big black tyre mark behind him. And it looks as though that tyre is just not rotating at all. So that's dragging on the ground, leaving a big black line behind him. And he's going to need some repairs. Definitely going to need some repairs on that 43.
Yeah, and interesting enough, Ashton has now passed Stephen Williams, sorry. And so too Jason Martin. So he's working his way back through that field. So he's hoping for the yellow to come sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so I mean, Crowder's going to be happy no matter what happens here. He's in a very good position. If the caution comes out now, then absolutely fine. He can compete with everyone else, come out on fresh tyres in 3rd place, and with the pace that he's shown, he can get the job done. If the caution doesn't come out, everyone in front of him still has to pit, and he's going to get the lead anyway. So no matter which way it turns out, it's going really, really well for him. And he's right up behind Josh Micklemore at the moment trying to take that 2nd place. And Micklemore's going to have nothing to fight with. His tyres are 80 laps old. And having a look at some of these guys, I mean, is it possible that these guys are going to get to the end on that one set of tyres? I didn't think they were, but have they managed to eke it out?
I was just thinking the same thing, actually, but surely they can't make 100 laps. I don't think it's possible, but I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the way they're going at the moment. I mean, Matt Danson I'm not sure what he's doing in terms of fuel saving or anything like that, but he's got to be marginal. And he just appears to be rolling around it. And Crowder, of course, who's just taken 2nd place off Micklemore, he's 7.4 seconds behind Danson now on fresh tyres. He's already the fastest guy on track. So the chase is on now. He's got 7.4 seconds to close down in 18 laps. And I think with that tyre life difference, he'll do it and then some.
Yeah, I tell you what, if Matt can hold on from here, it'll be a miracle, I think. But it's again who you're racing, as you said before, Ashton is in a bit of a class of his own at the moment, so he's having a good run. I think thought we had another one pit there, but Stephen Lewis has just gone back another place beyond Jason Martin. Matthew Clowett is starting to catch up to him now too.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Martin's trying to work his way through. Remember, we've seen him in the lane already, so he's on those fresh tyres, but he's not having the run through the traffic that some of the other guys have had on the fresh tyres. I'm not sure if that damage is hurting him. It appears to have been pretty well fixed, but he seems to be struggling to get down the inside of Josh Carroll-Walden, who's actually a lap behind him, but has no obligation to get out the way. So he's just running his own race at the moment. Brian Richmond sitting in there behind Jason, and Jason Martin really struggling to make too much headway. He's trying for the high side now to get around the 35, and now he's just ducking low, so he'll probably get the job done here. Probably not too important in Josh Carroll-Walden's mind to actually fight him too hard, but he's sort of running there around the outside. He's going to get boxed in there potentially behind Ricky Cornwall. No, Cornwall gets down and out the way. And yeah, I'd imagine that Jason's just sitting in that car saying, just let me go. Can you just please just let me go and get on with it? But Carroll-Walden not wanting to lose that lap, another lap to him. So nothing that says he has to give way.
That's exactly right. It's not making it easy. But just looking at the laps, I mean, what do we got? 14 to go. So, I mean, just trying to do the sums, but Danson looks like he's going to try and make it on fuel because it's too late now to stop. There's no point stopping now. You're gone. So
Yeah,
you've got to commit.
Yeah, and he has committed, hasn't he? I mean, Crowder is slashing that lead. Like, he's already down to 3.3 seconds. There's no chance he's going to hold Crowder off. But I would love to know what Matt Danson's fuel state is right now. And Josh Mickelmore as well, and Stephen Williams, all those guys who are still out. I would love to know what their fuel state is right now. Because it's tense when you don't know. So I don't know how close they are in the car. We might get to the end of this race and they're going to say, no, we were doing it easy. But... in any case, it's going to be something for them to actually make it. And to be perfectly honest, with the pace the other guys are showing, wouldn't be overly surprised if Matt Dancer can make it to the end if he manages to pull second place out of this.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well for what are we on? Lap 89, so 89 lap old tyres. They're definitely working for their money today. But I think they've done a good job and they haven't lost too much time. And as we see, Josh just got passed by Jason on the outside there down the back straight.
All right, so Jason Martin moving up now. He's cleared Josh Carroll-Walden finally, and he's also cleared his teammate Josh Mickelmore, who must feel like he's crawling around at the moment on those old tyres. He's got a shot in the rear for a good measure from Josh Carroll-Walden as those lapped cars come back on their fresher tyres, come back around Josh Mickelmore. And Josh is just kind of hanging on at the moment. I don't think there's too many more guys behind him on overly fresh tyres. Ryan Jones might be a threat back there in 7th. I'm not sure what kind of tyres Clute is on. But we've got Crowder now. He's come within a second of Matt Danson, so I imagine we're going to see a lead change very, very soon indeed. And from there, it's just a matter of what kind of time Jason Martin can gain.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take too long. I'd say it's going to happen down into turn 3 by the looks of this stage. He'll have that drive out of there. I mean, he's no need to pass him too quick by the looks of it. He's got Norman Clark on his outside, so there's a bit of a cluster of cars there. So
yeah, Matt Danson's doing his best, isn't he? He's kind of throwing the block. He's blocking him in behind Norman Clark, but he's just got nothing to fight with. There is nothing left. Those tyres are nearly down to the canvas. He's got absolutely nothing to fight with, and Crowder goes through to retake that lead. So we can say that Crowder's strategy call has definitely paid off, jumping in the pits. And now, I guess, attention will now turn to Jason Martin, who's running there in 3rd place and has taken a second and a bit out of Danson on that lap. He's running out of laps, though. He's coming up to only 6 to go. But if he can take over a second out of him, it's going to be very, very interesting once he catches up. It's going to be close.
Yeah, definitely. Another guy who's had a quiet race, but... has worked his way up there is Matthew Raymond. I think when we were watching him earlier, he was about 17th when Riley Curtis nearly got turned by the 47, I think it was, or the 57. But he's worked his way up to 10th now, so quiet race, but he's worked his way forward slowly.
Yeah, he has, and Riley's only one spot behind him in 11th. So, yeah, they've done quite well to work their way through. And, we've got Skurlock behind. It's probably a fairly quiet night by Michael Skurlock standards. Back there in 12th place for whatever reason, a couple of little misfortunes, and he is right on the back of Riley Curtis, though, looking to take that position away. And just while I say that, Jason Martin's taken another second out of Matt Danson, so we'll keep a bit of an eye on that battle. But at the moment, we've got Skurlock right on the back of Curtis, and looks as though he's got quite a bit more pace than Riley at this stage, and he's just done that switch down from the high side to the low side to try and get underneath. Will he be able to make it stick? Will he not? I think this battle's going to continue on for a few laps yet.
Yeah, and while those guys were side by side, I noticed the 35 and 83 of Matthew Raymond, they were also side by side. So a couple of little battles here and there. 4 laps to go, so looks like Ashton Crowder's pretty much showing this one up.
Yeah, I'd say he's untouchable, but Jason Martin is doing his absolute utmost to get on terms with Matt Danson. Now, I'm not sure how much life he will have taken out of those tyres, but I guarantee you one thing, his tyres are in much, much better shape than Matt Danson's are. And now it's down to just about 3 seconds. So we've only got about 3 laps to go now as well, so this is going to be very, very close between the two of them. Jason Martin's just entering turn 3, Matt Danson just coming out of turn 4, and how quickly he's able to get past the 999 of Corey Lane could actually dictate the way this battle turns out. Jason is closing all the time. Only 1.7 seconds the gap now.
Dancing
Lap 99 of 100.
Dancing looked very slow off too there, but
he's just got no tyres left. He's just got absolutely no tyres left. But the one thing that Danson is not afraid to do, he's very, very aggressive when he's overtaking and when he's defending. He's not afraid of upsetting somebody else in a battle. And trust me, he's going to do absolutely everything he can. But I think Danson's out.
He's out of fuel. Yep.
Danson's out of fuel. So Jason Martin takes that position. And lap 100... Ashton Crowder, sorry, we sort of missed this as it's gone on. Ashton Crowder's actually taken the victory while we were watching that. Jason Martin through to second place, and Matt Danson frantically jiggling that car from side to side to get it across the line. Just catch up. And Skurlock's gone right to the back of him after the line, that's after the line. He's made it home. Clute up to 4th, so a great finish from Clute, actually. We haven't talked a great deal about him, but a great finish. And Ryan Jones completing the top 5 there, so what a finish. Well, we always thought that Matt Danson was going to be close on fuel, but I had no idea it was going to be that close.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see his numbers versus the 31 of Josh Mickelmore, actually, just to see where they sat, see if Josh had anything. I didn't actually see Josh cross the line, so I wasn't sure if he was out or struggling at all.
Yeah, I'm just going back to have a quick look at Josh. Actually, he definitely did cross the line and pulled up on the back straight, so I'm not sure if he ran out of fuel and had to pull up on the back straight, but Ryan Jones has got around him right at the end. No, he did run out of fuel as well. He coasted across the line, Josh Mickelmore, and actually lost places to Ryan Jones and Stephen Williams right on the line to actually take him down to 7th. So that's about as close as you can possibly get in terms of fuel. That would have been an absolute fuel management exercise for those guys. But interesting and exciting, definitely.
Yeah, definitely made it exciting towards the end. And that's what I thought with about 2 to go. He sort of backed out when Jason was tracking him down the back straight. It just didn't look right, and I thought he might have been struggling for fuel. So that obviously eventuated, and where did he end up after all that?
Well, we'll just actually take this opportunity to go through our final race positions actually before we grab the guys in for a few interviews. So Ashton Crowder taking the victory there with led most of the laps actually, apart from when he was out of pit sequence. So taking the lead back right near the end there and winning that one comfortably. Jason Martin there in second, 9.8 seconds behind, just overtaking third place Matt Danson on the line really. Matthew Clute, as we mentioned, 4th place, great run from him. Ryan Jones holds on to 5th. Stephen Williams takes 6th place on the line from Josh Mickelmore, who finishes 7th. Then we're looking at Raymond Yeager, first car, 1 lap down in P8. Great finish from him. Then we've got Josh Carroll-Walden and Matthew Raymond. Then we go back to Riley Curtis and Michael Skurlock in 11th and 12th. Then Matt Hunter, Norman Clark, Mirko Dortnack, Corey Lane in 16th. Brian Richmond and Michael Latter, then Ricky Cornwall. Then we go down into I'm not sure if Tristan Koch was still running at the end, but he was 25 laps down. And then we got Kai Sloggett, who sadly retired from the race, and Robert Mason, who did not take the start, will be classified 22nd. So, but not a massive field there, but a very, very clean race, running completely caution-free. And I'm sure that those guys who were staying out were looking at their fuel numbers and praying for caution one way or another, and they didn't get it, and it bit them at the end.
Yeah, definitely. Now they got it a couple of times, but that all heated up at the end there, though, definitely.
All right, no problem. So we're going to go to some interviews now, and we're going to have a chat with our winner, Ashton Crowder. So we're just going to grab him in and have a quick chat.
Back and watch my burnout. Ashton
Crowder, welcome to the Performance E streaming commentary box. Fairly dominant win tonight. Talk us through it.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pretty hard one to gauge, really, on how the tires were going to wear for sure. But I figured if I just back off my pace a little bit at the beginning for the first 10 laps of each stint, should be able to have it at the end. And sure enough, that's what happened. Everybody else was extremely fast, or much faster than me in the first 10 to 15. But after that, I guess just the heat out of the tires really carried me the rest of the run, and able to make a really mistake-free race. It was my first one in quite a long time. So really proud of that, and thanks to Danson for trying to pull off that no stop strategy, because if it would have worked, that would have been badass. But wasn't to
Yeah,
be.
he was there. He was actually one of a few to try it, and we were not surprised to see you guys actually come to the pit lane and really try to break the race in half. But we were surprised to see Danson and Stephen Williams tried it. Josh Mickelmore tried it as well. Try to actually make the end on one set of tyres and a tank of fuel, and Danson ran out halfway through the last lap. Mickelmore coasted across the line as well. I think Stephen Williams actually did manage to save enough fuel to make it home, but it was so borderline for them.
Yeah, that was the thing. I feel like with my time delta to Danson, I would have been able to make it work and save enough fuel to maybe run out with a quarter of a lap left, maybe out of 4. But with how they were running, it was so close. So I don't know. I felt like it was too risky to pull off, so I just pitted on, I think, 53 or 54, somewhere around there. Just bring it home. But yeah, that was a really good strategy. If you had the time delta, I think it really would have worked. But it's just you have to be at the perfect spot on the track to do it, and I just didn't feel like it was safe enough to do it.
Yeah, well, you won the race by nearly 10 seconds, so it's very hard to argue that you did exactly the right thing. So congratulations on that one. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to while you're here with us?
I appreciate it. Everybody at All Siltman Crowder Racing, Burton Kligerman Esports 2, Parker Kligerman, and the boys. I ran a Ford today, so I didn't have the paint scheme on. But huge shout-out to them. Should be getting, cold passes since I'm 16. Should be getting cold passes to, I think, the 600. So that should be fun. But yeah, just you guys for putting on the broadcast and the league and everything. It's really fun. I had to switch my sleeping schedule completely around to be able to run it. But yeah, it's been a really fun time, and I've actually learned quite a lot, more than I thought I would. The setups are on kind of, I don't want to say on the tighter side, but it takes a different driving style to really maximize your performance and get the most out of the tires, and that's something I always struggled with. But running against Danson, Jason, Josh, everybody in here really allowed me to learn what I needed to do and helped me along the Peak Series as well. So just huge thank you to really everybody in here. It means a lot.
Well, that's excellent. Give us a wave from the stands at the 600, and we are very jealous. So thanks very much, Ashton, and we'll speak to you soon.
Congratulations, mate.
Man. Thank you. Grazie.
Okay, so that was your winner, Ashton Crowder, who's going to be in the stands at the Coke 600 coming up soon. That's very nice seat. Wouldn't mind being over there myself, but not to be, unfortunately. So what we might do is we might bring in Jason Martin, second place tonight, and see how the race turned out for him.
For sure.
Jason Martin, Edward Foster here in the Performance E Streaming Commentary Box, P2 tonight, with a different strategy to just about most of the guys around you, apart from the guy in front of you. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I checked my fuel at around lap 50, and I noticed I was going to be about 1 lap short, and normally the fuel levels just keep getting worse, so I thought we'd probably be down about 2 or 3 by the end. So I thought, yeah, I better pit now.
Yeah, we actually noticed right at the very start of the race you actually nicked the wall. Did that affect you much from that point onwards?
Just a little bit, but not too bad. I think I hit it a few more times after that. That made it worse. Yeah,
there are a couple of little knocks there, but certainly didn't seem to affect your overall pace, especially when you had the opportunity to come up and close on the back of your teammate Josh Mickelmore. We were sort of surprised about the rate at which you caught him, especially with the damage that you had on the front there. But of course, he had a fair bit of damage on the back as well. So I guess it may have all evened itself out. But in terms of the pit strategy, we saw a few guys trying to run the entire race on not only the one set of tyres, but of course the one tank of fuel, and they didn't make it. So it was never really an option from your perspective?
No, once I saw I was going to be 1 to 3 laps short, I thought, nah, better off pitting now.
Yeah, well, it certainly paid off for you coming away with a P2. So we were actually saying at the start of the broadcast that you'd won 4 races so far in this particular season, and all of them were sort of on those mile-and-a-half tracks. Is there something about the mile-and-a-half tracks in this car that just clicks with you, or have you just found a couple of other styles of track a bit more of a struggle, or what's the secret there?
No, my favourite actually is short tracks, but I just don't race them much online anymore because too many yellows and it's just boring. So the mile and a half is about all I do online in official racing now.
Yeah, it makes sense. I know a few guys, myself included, who tend to stay away from the officials almost completely these days. So anyway, well done. While you're in the box here, have you got anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Got to thank Mitch Motorsports, BK Designs, and of course Performance eStreaming for the broadcast, and of course you guys at ANZCAR for putting on a wonderful league.
All right, absolutely fantastic. So, guys, that is your second place getter, Jason Martin, with the one-stop strategy tonight, bringing him home in P2. So what we might do now is we might just grab our third place getter, Matt Danson, in, have a little bit of a chat with him, because he was the only one in the top three who actually managed to cross the line, making no stops whatsoever. And I'd just like to get a bit of an idea about how that looked from his point of view. So I'll just grab him in now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see actually when he chose to go with that strategy, actually.
Well, we can ask him now. Matt Danson, welcome to the commentary box, P3 tonight, and we're all kind of talking now about the strategy that you ran, trying to run completely non-stop. So if you're able to just maybe just talk us through your race and talk us through the decision-making process you went through to try that on.
Yeah, hey boys. Well, it took me about 15 laps to calm down from my incident with Ryan. But after that, the best I was going to do was second. Ashton was just in a class of his own, so I thought I can stay out and stretch it, and maybe steal a win. Whether there's like a caution that comes out, or whether there's enough drop off. I was trying to do the math real quick while I was sort of scooting around there, and I was hoping there was going to be enough, but yeah, it came close. It wasn't too far off.
Yeah, it wasn't too far off, and I think in the grand scheme of things, you can probably debate whether or not Jason would have got by you if you hadn't ran out of fuel. But at the end of the day, it cost you one position maximum. As you say, you were really racing for second by that stage of the race. But I guess in terms of the actual numbers that you were looking at and how borderline it was, I mean, were you aware how close we came on a number of occasions to actually getting that caution that you would have needed to get home?
Yeah, I heard about a couple. Some cars flipping up in the air and so on. So that was, but I was also kind of keen to see it just play out. For the most of the run, I was sort of half lap to the good on fuel, so I was feeling pretty sweet with that. And then as guys came through with their fresh tires, I had to go high a bunch of times. Obviously, taking a long way around the track, which caused me to use a bit more fuel and things like that. So that's when I became super short, and the last 5 laps, probably a little bit too late to be honest, but I started just switching it off, halfway down each straight, just trying to back it up to Jason as much as I could while still having something, hopefully, on the last lap. But yeah, as you saw, I ran out, I think coming out at 2, I think it was.
Yeah, just managed to splutter home. We saw you frantically sort of weaving on the straight to try and slosh that fuel around and just pick up the last little dregs. And I know Josh Mickelmore tried the exact same strategy as you with the exact same result. He ran out just coming out of just entering 3, I think, actually, on the final lap. So he lost a couple of positions on the line too. So unfortunately not to be for you guys, but I'll tell you what, if you'd got that caution there, and it would have taken all those doubts away, but probably given the fact that the caution would have come out, you would have all come to the lane at that stage, I assume, as well, if that had happened.
Yeah, so I mean, like the caution comes out, I look like a genius, it doesn't, and I've just got to sort of make do, but I'm okay with it.
All right, so anyway, P3 tonight for Matt Danson. So anyone you'd like to give a shout out to while you're here?
I'll give a shout out to Ashton for coming here and spoiling my night by dominating, but shout out to Braden as well. He's probably asleep somewhere, I guess. But the Simpleman Crowder boys. Shout out to you guys for putting on the hosting the whole thing, putting on the stream and everything. Shout out to Ryan for overdriving turn 1, and shout out to myself for being amazing.
All right, fantastic. Never a dull moment with Matt Danson, guys, your third place getter. So thanks very much to him, and congratulations on a good night for him as well. So that's it, Dave. Your first go commentating an ANZCAR race up here in the Performance eStreaming commentary box. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Hopefully I did all right. I'm sure I'll watch it back and hopefully get some feedback from the guys. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah, excellent. And to get a caution-free race as well, it was one of those things that you don't get too often, but we've had a couple of those lately, these races which have actually just managed to go caution-free. So very clean, very sensible driving, even though we did get very close on a couple of occasions to actually getting that caution that would have turned the whole race on its head. But in the end, a fairly dominant victory for Ashton Crowder over Jason Martin, and quite a few good solid results in there as well. So that's basically all we've got time for tonight. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with this with the next round of this particular series, and of course stick with us next Thursday night. We're going to have the I believe we're at Charlotte in the ANZCAR Cup.
Yeah, I think that's correct, mate. Yeah, definitely.
All right, no problems at all. Well, from me, Edward Foster, and Dave Douglas here as well, thanks very much for watching, and we will catch you next time.